Hello everyone, welcome back to your practice. I'm Liv and today we're going to be doing a standing practice focused on balance. So if you're someone who has ADHD, autism, or you struggle with PTSD, all of these things impact something called our proprioception, which is our sense of where we are in space. I know when I was on my journey of resolving my trauma, I often found myself knocking into things, hitting stuff. I'd lean into walls, just like cut corners, because I wasn't aware of where my body was in space. So this is going to be a beautiful practice, just standing, no sitting on the ground, of finding this balance. And within that, we'll strengthen our proprioception and really play with finding our edges. So invitation to come into a standing position, feet underneath the shoulders, parallel to either the sides of the wall or your mat. Spreading those toes out and just taking a moment, a breath to ground into this moment, to connect with the breath. An invitation to start swaying left and right, slowly feeling how your center of gravity shifts. And maybe each time you sway, go a little bit deeper, leaning more into that edge, finding where it is. Maybe getting to a point right when your foot starts to lift off, but still keeping contact. Take a few rounds of breath exploring this. And maybe even explore going too far, that sense of loss of balance, right? And then coming back. And let's start to explore that moving forward and backwards. So pressing into the toes until the heels almost lift. And then coming back, pressing into the toes, maybe pressing into your heels, maybe your toes lift up. Noticing this shift. And as you feel this shift, also feel how when you're pressing down into the ground, it's also lifting you up. It's these two edges, this polarity of pressing down, rooting up. Noticing how the earth's providing for you here, supporting you. Now, an invitation just to explore in all directions, maybe finding a circular movement. Notice if there's one direction you can lean more into, and maybe another direction that feels less accessible. I know for me, the backwards, I can't go as far. I tend to feel this constriction, and then I have to come back to stability. If you were circling, switch directions. And so what we're doing in this circle is we're expanding our sphere of discomfort. We're finding this edge of sensation with stability. So we're not toppling over, and we're also not staying in one place. We're moving. We're having that sensation, having that, perhaps that little sense of fear or unknowing, lack of knowledge, wonder perhaps, with a sense of security, knowing that we haven't gone too far. And slowly coming back to center, hips over the heels. And from here, maybe explore what it feels like to lift the inner arches, press down into the outer arches of the feet, and then come into the inward, so collapsing those arches down. Opening up on that inhale and collapsing down on the exhale. And just notice how that impacts your balance. Notice what's engaged in the body, what different parts of the legs are working when your balance is pressed in the various arches. And can you find center? Can you find the balance between these two arches? What does that feel like to you? And from here, we're going to explore some hip hikes. So putting your weight into your right leg, keeping both of your legs straight. Imagine lifting your hip up to your shoulder, hiking it up, keeping those legs straight, and then dropping it back down, putting it on the mat, coming to center. Shifting to the right, lifting that left hip up, lowering it down, and coming back to center. Can you play with this a few times and see what distance, what hike, what height feels good to you? And I notice if I lift too much, well, then I start to lean over. How high can you go while keeping that stability, that balance? And again, playing with this sense of balance, this sense of edges. Notice as you hike the left hip up, you're also pressing the right one down, pressing into the mat to lift up. Again, this root to rise. One more on this side. And then we'll come to the other side. So pressing into the left, hiking up the right hip. And lightly coming back to center. There's also this aspect of control here, pressing into the left foot. Can you lift up? And can you also go back down slowly? So we're not just pressing back down into that, but we're finding a sense of ease, a sense of balance all the way down. It's the transitions that have just as much impact as the movement itself. And slowly coming down. We'll do one more on this side. Coming back to center, feeling a little bit of tightness, maybe some activation, maybe even some cramping in the hips. We'll just kind of shake it out. So maybe hokey pokey legs, put your left leg in, put your right leg in, maybe shake the hands. And coming back to this Tadasana. Now, invitation to come to the top of your mat. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. And we're going to play with some more balancing. So shifting weight into the right foot, finding stability here. We'll inhale, slowly lift the left knee to hip height. And we'll take the entire exhale to come back down. Feeling this slowly, softly. Inhale to lift. And exhale, coming down. Inhale, rise. And exhale, lower. On your next round, as you bring that knee up to the hip height or wherever is comfortable to you, whatever remains balance, even if that's keeping the foot on the ground and just shifting that weight over, let's hold it here. And imagine that you're about to cough and notice how that engages the core. And from here, building that heat, noticing this balance, can you then bring attention to your hip? Is it hiked up? Is it hiked down? And can we find balance in between the two? Level height between the two while keeping balance in the body. Inhaling here. And exhale, slowly lowering back to the mat. And shake it out, step around. Invitation to put the tops of the feet onto the mat to kind of stretch out that ankle, those toes. And we'll come back to do the other side. So shifting weight into the left foot. Inhale, lifting the right knee as high as is comfortable and accessible. Exhale, lowering back down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Releasing on the exhale. And the next time you bring that knee up, let's hold it. Let's build some heat. Feel that cough motion, that corseting of the abs, hugging in the floating ribs here, finding length, height, pressing down into the mat to lift up those two edges. And again, bringing awareness to those hips. Is that right hip hiked up or is it lower? Can we find an even field parallel to the floor with those hips? And know that balance is a verb, not a noun. And so all of these little micro adjustments that you're making, or maybe they're huge, maybe you're swaying around, all of this is in support of finding that balance, that proprioception in your life. One more inhale, strong, rooting up. And exhale, lowering it out. From here, give some shakes of the hands, flicks away, maybe kind of stomping the feet down, releasing all of that energy, that work. And from here, we'll come back to the top of the mat and we'll start playing with some lunges. So bringing our weight into the right foot, inhale, lifting that left knee up. And we'll exhale, step back very slowly, keeping that right leg straight. So just a really short stance here, just to kind of feel that motion. Ooh, I'm finding a lack of balance here. Inhale, pressing into all corners of that front foot, pressing into the ball of your back foot. And exhale, lean forward to drag that back foot back in. Shifting weight to the left side, inhale, lifting up that right knee. And exhale, keeping that left leg straight, just stepping back for a slight stance. Pressing down to lift on the inhale. And exhale, leaning forward, shifting that foot back. Now here we're going to play with some hinges before we get into that full lunge. So bringing your hands to the backs of your thighs, we'll inhale, lift up. And as you exhale, drawing those hands down, you'll bend your knees and hinge your hips back as if your hips were being pulled back, coming all the way down to a forward fold. Inhaling once you get to this position, or a half lift, I should say, half forward fold. Inhaling here, flat back. And exhale, pressing into the heels, engaging the glutes to slowly slide the hands back up the legs. We'll do this 2 more times. So a round of breath here, maybe exploring the circle grounding motion. Inhale to prepare, press into the ground, lift the crown of the head to the ceiling. Exhale, hinging those hips back, bending those knees, crown of the head pulling forward, flat back. Half lift. Round of breath here. And exhale, lifting back up, pressing down to rise. Round of breath here. Sighing it out. Last time. In breath, lift, prepare. Exhale, hinge as if you're being pulled the hips back and the head forward, crown of the head pulling in front of you. Deep breath in here. And exhale, lifting back up slowly. From here, we'll shift the weight into the right leg, lift that left leg. And as you exhale, we'll take that hinge motion to step that left foot back. Now, hip width distance so that we're on train tracks instead of a tightrope. Finding that balance here. Maybe you need to widen out for this balance. Feeling into this high lunge. So can we press down into the feet to lift up while also pressing into that front knee, making sure it doesn't pass over the ankle. Finding length and strength here. Inhale, start to shift that weight into your front leg, maybe leaning forward slightly. And exhale, bringing that front back foot back to the top of the mat. We'll go ahead and do that on the other side. Shifting weight into the left. Inhale, lift the right knee up. Exhale, hinge the hips back, bend into the knee to step back as far as is accessible, as wide as you need for stability. And invitation to bend that back knee slightly if you feel that you have too much of an arch in the lower back, just to find more length. And again, imagine inhale, pressing the feet down, lifting up, finding length to the ceiling. And as you exhale, bending your front knee to also find width, length in the horizontal axis. And invitation, maybe just to play here, kind of swaying left and right a little bit, playing into that balance once more. How far can you go into your edges, maybe dropping into your left inner arch and your outer arch? What does balance feel like? Coming back to this rooted center. Inhale to prepare, pressing into the front foot, maybe leaning forward. And exhale, press back up to standing. Coming back to our center. And closing our practice with an inhale, circling the palms up and over the head. Exhale, drawing them in front of our chest. Finding this balance in the center, both on the mat and off the mat as well. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe and give me a comment. Let me know how this practice landed with you, what balance looks like in your life on and off the mat. And yeah, would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.